Right.
Gotta keep them there.
Right.
You need locks on the doors.
Okay, this is sounding kind of dangerous now.
Singer Aubrey O'Day reacted to Sean Diddy Combs' arrest in New York by sharing a message about justice online.
Why'd you move to LA?
Oh, for the kids, the family, the weather.
What's the one thing you miss the most about living in New York City?
I miss the people.
I mean, like actually cycling through them. There was one moment, so it's not really a party story, but our relationship was really bizarre. So it started over punked, because he was like, yo,
don't punk
you
me.
can't punk me. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's on the table. He's like, not me, I'm off the table.
Years before accusations cast his lavishly produced parties in a criminal light, the Diddy Bash was a cultural phenomenon, packed with stars from Anna Wintour to Trump and other eager A-listers begging to get in. But no secret lasts forever. The whole world was shocked when witnessed a darker underside to the lavish, star-studded parties Diddy hosted for more than a decade. And as the disgraced and detained mogul faces federal charges of racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking amid a deluge of sexual abuse lawsuits. Combs has repeatedly denied the allegations. Until recently, most of the accusations against Combs had focused on the alleged sex parties he called freak-offs.
Combs?
Diddy is now at the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, a place that's been described as hell on earth.
The most coveted invite. Now, of course, Diddy's relationship with law enforcement is starkly different, as is the once glamorous life he led until just a year ago. Charged in federal court with sex trafficking and racketeering with accusations that include kidnapping, arson, forced labor, and obstruction of justice. Diddy, referred to in his indictment by his born name, Sean Combs, sits in solitary confinement in a Brooklyn detention center without bail, mere miles from where he staged some of the most memorable bashes in recent celebrity memory. But that night remains a core early aughts memory for someone. It was emblematic of a moment in time when hip-hop was at its zenith, a powerful epoch in which the urban world, music, fashion, media, drove pop culture in New York City and around the world. During that period, much of urban culture revolved around parties. They shaped clothing with high-end designers, copying the looks they saw at the events and on the streets. They created opportunities for DJs who rose to prominence as they attracted coveted crowds. They changed the way music was put out as the biggest labels realized they could create buzz for their artists via album release parties that rivaled Saturday night at a hot club. That era of urban parties even changed the way we party as it further popularized roped-off VIP sections, bottle service, and pricey champagne sprayed over revelers. As a former lawyer for a major music label told me, hip-hop parties were not only an expression of influence, they were influence. In the 2000s, few events held the cultural cachet of the white party thrown by Sean Combs. Fates in Beverly Hills, the Hamptons, and other playgrounds of the rich, studded with famous names and fabulous tableaus. At the 2009 party, Demi Moore made the scene with Lil' Kim. Dancers gyrated in giant plastic balloons alongside tottering stilt walkers, and Ashton Kutcher swung, Tarzan-like, across a swimming pool as models in white bikinis lounged beside it. And at the center of it all was Mr. Combs, the billionaire hip-hop mogul also known as Puff Daddy and Diddy, invariably toasting the scene with a glass of Ciroc vodka and welcoming comparisons of his revels to those of lore. Diddy enlisted employees, enablers, and prostitutes to stage far darker soirees than white parties called freak-offs, drug-heavy, sometimes days-long hotel parties during which investigators say he abused and coerced participants into sexual acts, which he sometimes filmed and masturbated to. Only white allowed. Attending these parties wasn't just about fame, it was about exclusivity. Entry required guests to strictly adhere to the white dress code, and in later years, these events became more structured, with tiered access for different attendees. The parties evolved from relaxed BBQs into lavish affairs with luxury experiences and heightened privacy for VIPs. They were also known for turning into adult-only gatherings after a certain time, with Diddy famously asking kids to leave so the real party could begin. The final white party in 2009 doubled as a charity event, raising awareness for malaria no more. These gatherings remain iconic in pop culture, remembered for their mix of A-list guests and the glamorous yet intimate vibe that only someone with Diddy's influence could create. Combs was a modern-day Gatsby to the A-listers who attended his star-studded events. His accusers say they saw a far more disturbing figure emerge. On Labor Day weekend in 1998, Sean "Diddy" Combs hosted a casual barbecue for about 200 guests at his new beachfront estate in East Hampton, NY. The dress code was all white, and the guest list was exclusive, details that would come to define the hip-hop impresario's famous white parties, which grew into extravagant soirees and earned him the reputation of a modern-day Gatsby. For one attendee, who was 16 at the time, scoring an invite to the party that year felt like it could lead to his big break in the music business, an opportunity to rub shoulders with the who's who of the industry. Instead, according to a new lawsuit, he alleges he was sexually abused by Combs during the event. About the dark theories behind the clothes, some suggested that the almost identical outfits may have been used to prevent victims from identifying individuals. If everyone's dressed the same, it would be much harder to single out or identify an attacker, one user pointed out, especially if you've been drugged. Another agreed. Yep, harder to tell people apart when they all look the same. Another fan suggested the white parties might have a double meaning, alluding to the use of cocaine, which many witnesses have come forward and said they were given non-consensually. Not only the clothes require, but Diddy's infamous white parties also remained secret guest code. Guests at Diddy's elite parties had their own discreet cue to depart. An insider told about Sean Combs' legendary white parties, revealing that partygoers were clued in on when to make a swift exit by observing a certain signal, hinting that Diddy's soiree was set to escalate. Once this secret sign was given, anything went, and the revelry would extend until the crack of dawn. Numerous big-name celebrities would decide it was time to go between 2 and 3 a.m. Girls would start to lose their clothes. That was the signal for people to leave. Soon thereafter, banned substances would start cropping up, while the informant also alleged that the escorts Sean purportedly engaged for the occasion would do whatever you want. The White List. A growing list of celebrities, including Beyoncé, J-Lo, Justin Bieber, Usher, and others, is being linked to Sean "Diddy" Combs' infamous parties. While a few celebs have outright denied attending the music mogul's freak-off parties, the internet speculates that Hollywood A-listers were probably connected to his white parties. Following the music mogul's recent arrest in New York City on charges of sex trafficking and racketeering, discussions about the star-studded guest list from these notorious gatherings have intensified. Similar to Epstein's list, social media is now trending a list of high-profile figures, referring to it as the Diddy list. Diddy frequently hosted some of Hollywood's biggest stars at his lavish gatherings, including his ex-girlfriend and pop star Jennifer Lopez, who was also involved in one of his shooting incidents, as well as Titanic star Leonardo DiCaprio. The alleged list of attendees at Diddy's infamous white parties features a who's who of Hollywood. While several celebrities have confirmed attending Diddy's parties, it remains unclear who participated in the alleged freak-offs. While DiCaprio and others may have attended parties in the early 2000s, they assert that those events were not part of the alleged freak-offs, suggesting a clear distinction between past celebrations and the serious allegations now facing Diddy. These gatherings would kick off after Diddy's famous white parties. When the A-listers headed out, a more private and wild celebration would begin in the back rooms, with Diddy and a close-knit group of friends taking center stage. Some celebs have spoken about their experiences. According to multiple sources, unsavory behavior took place at Diddy's after-parties. What happened before 2 a.m. pales in comparison to what happened at 5 a.m., says the first source. Amid talk of secret tapes, according to Lil Rod's lawsuit, Diddy recorded people at his parties to use for blackmail purposes. The music industry source says the public will learn who's in them. We are going to find out who is on the videotapes. For most people, it's embarrassment and people being exposed in orgies, not legal issues. That's why no one ever spoke out. Leonardo DiCaprio has absolutely nothing to do with any of this. A source close to the Titanic star told Daily Mail following Diddy's arrest. The insider admitted that while the actor attended a few parties in the 2000s, like several others, he was never a part of the alleged freak-offs. Leo was at the start of his career at the time, but the star has moved way past his partying. Ashton Kutcher calls Diddy's party weird memory. "I've got a lot I can't tell," Kutcher said in a 2019 video when asked about attending one of those infamous parties. "Can't tell that one either. I'm actually cycling through them. Diddy party stories, man. That was some weird memory lane thing." In 2009, Ashton Kutcher was spotted at Combs' infamous annual White Party with his then-wife, Demi Moore. Earlier media reports also highlight his support for Diddy at various public events. In a resurfaced video, he even declined from offering more insight about the parties.